Shocking blessings. When God transforms setbacks into miracles at 3 a.m. Pray for protection now. The clock struck 3 like a thunderclap, echoing through the stillness of the night. Everything was quiet, but shadows danced under the faint light of street lamps, creating shapes that seemed almost alive. In that eerie hour, people lay in restless slumber, unaware that miracles often hide in the darkness. People say the wee hours speak to the soul, exposing fears and hopes in equal measure, and tonight was no different for Leah. She sat in her dimly lit living room, heart racing, palms clammy on the rough fabric of her couch. Just hours earlier, she had faced down her greatest setback. A letter from the bank, thin and menacing. Foreclosure, it proclaimed in bold, unforgiving letters. The weight of it felt like a heavy stone in her chest. Where would she go? What would she do? As her mind spiraled, an odd sensation washed over her. Something was about to change, something powerful. Leah looked at her phone, the screen glowing like a beacon. It was an ordinary device, yet it held the power to connect her with thousands across the world. News flashed through her timeline, whispers of events so baffling they could only be divine interventions. People sharing tales of midnight prayers that had turned their luck around, lost jobs regained, health restored, and broken hearts mended, all within those sacred hours after midnight. An ache built in her throat. Could a simple prayer do that for her? With a trembling hand, she reached for her phone. But then, the air shifted, thick with tension. A noise echoed outside, startling her. It sounded like chaos, a crash, then a scream. Her breath hitched in her throat. Had someone been hurt? What did it mean? She dared a glance at the window, her heart pounding like a war drum. As she peered out, shadows flitted past her window, too quick to identify. Who were they? What was happening just outside her door? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Just then, an eerie calm settled around her. Was it the quiet before a storm? With a deep breath, Leah stepped back from the window, her mind racing. Should she call the police, or was it something more than mere human disturbance? Had she ever believed in signs? But faith has a way of creeping in when you need it most. A sudden thought struck her. What if the answer to her crisis lay in this very moment, this very chaos? The time was ticking. Every second felt like an eternity. Would she kneel and pray for protection, hoping for a miracle that would save her home? Or would she step outside, facing whatever mystery lurked in the darkness? The weight of the choices pressed down on her. Just then, she heard another crash, followed by a distinct whisper that brought chills to her spine. Help us, what on earth could it mean? Leah's heart raced at the thought. There was only one way to find out, and as she opened the door, the night awaited. What awaited her? Leah stepped out into the night, the world silent and heavy above her. The air crackled, filled with something she couldn't quite identify, fear or an electric energy. She looked around her dimly lit porch, heart thumping, boots barely making a sound on the worn wood. Shadows leapt and danced around her, moving just at the corners of her vision. Hello? She called out, her voice shaking as it sliced through the darkness. The whisper had been so close, but now her words hung in the air, unanswered. Only the crash of a distant trash can broke the tranquility. Her instincts screamed for her to retreat inside, slam the door, and hide. But something kept her rooted, a pull that compelled her forward. Leah felt like she was teetering on the edge of some profound revelation. What if there was truly something she needed to confront out here? She flexed her fingers, feeling the sharp metallic tang of anxiety in her mouth. In a sudden rush, she stepped down onto the lawn, the grass cool beneath her feet, and peeked around the side of her home. A flicker of movement caught her eye. 2 figures crouched low behind a neighbor's car, casting elongated shadows across the pavement. "Who's there?" she shouted again, sweat beading on her brow. The figures froze, and in that moment, her heart raced with a mix of adrenaline and dread. What if they were armed? What if it were just kids playing pranks? Indecision clawed at her. Before she could backtrack, one of the figures rose, slowly, revealing a young woman with wide, terrified eyes. "Please help." The urgency in her voice sliced through Leah's hesitation. "We need your help." The woman's hands trembled, clutching a boy who looked no older than 10. He was pale, face scrunched together in pain, clutching his side. Seeing the child stirred something deep within Leah. "Bring him here." She gestured, the words coming out more forcefully than she intended. The woman darted from behind the car, half dragging the boy towards Leah, their feet pounding across the grass. Leah's instinct kicked in, and she knelt to meet them, urgency boiling in her veins. What happened? The people from the she sucked in a breath, eyes darting behind her as if expecting pursuers. They came out of nowhere. "We were just playing outside," and now desperation spilled from her words. Leah felt her heart race, not just for herself but for these strangers. There was something dreadful looming in the air, something far worse than losing her house. A primal sense of protection ignited within her. "Get inside, now," Leah urged, rising to guide them towards her dimly lit living room. They stumbled over the threshold, the boy shivering against the warmth inside, and Leah rushed back to lock the door, her pulse hammering. Softly, the woman's voice trembled. I don't know how to explain. They're coming, they want him." "Who? Who wants him?" Leah demanded, her mind racing with questions but not quite ready for the answers. As the woman opened her mouth to respond, a violent pounding reverberated against the front door, jolting them all to silence. Fear gripped Leah in a vice, and she met the woman's pleading gaze. "Please," the woman whispered. "We need your protection." Just then, the lights flickered ominously, and Leah's phone buzzed violently on the table. She spun toward it, fear twisting in her stomach. The name flashing on the screen sent a chill racing down her spine. Unknown caller. Would this call be the answer she desperately sought, or the harbinger of a greater threat? With uncertain steps, Leah moved toward the phone, every instinct screaming for her to let it go. Just what darkness had she invited in? Leah's fingers hovered above the phone, paralyzed by uncertainty. The pounding at the door echoed in her ears like a morbid drum. She glanced back at the woman and the boy, their faces tight with fear that echoed her own. Could this call be a lifeline or a further plunge into madness? "Should I answer it?" she whispered, though she didn't expect an answer. "Please just don't let them in." The woman's voice trembled, each word a warning. As she stared at the screen, the buzzing intensified. The caller wouldn't stop, it felt like a taunt. Leah gritted her teeth and finally swiped to answer, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Hello?" Static filled the line, followed by a low, haunting whisper. "You let them in, Leah. The darkness is closer than you think." The fear that had been simmering boiled over. "Who is this? What do you want?" Another faint laugh trickled through the receiver before the call cut off abruptly. Leah stared at the phone, the world around her fading into a dull roar. The eerie silence that followed threatened to suffocate her. Suddenly, a shriek from the boy pulled her back into reality. He was slumped against the wall, clutching his side, eyes wide with terror. They're coming," he gasped. "What do you mean?" Leah knelt beside him, cradling his face in her hands. "You have to tell me what's happening." They have a mark." He whimpered, his gaze flicking toward the front door as if he could see what stalked behind it. "It glows and it's bad. Whatever it is, we'll get through it together. Just stay quiet." Leah squeezed his shoulder, her heart pounding against her ribcage. The woman cast her gaze toward the window where dread pooled in the corners like shadows. "They'll find us, Leah. We can't stay here. We need to escape now." A sudden crash sent them all careening back. The door shuddered against the force of a heavy object hitting it. Leah shot up, adrenaline coursing through her veins, her mind grappling with the urgency of the situation. There was no time for hesitation. "Grab the boy," Leah yelled, rushing toward the back door. "We have to leave." The woman nodded sharply, her fear radiating, but she moved to pick him up, cradling him like a fragile treasure. As the three of them piled into the narrow path leading to the rear of the house, Leah could feel the heat of the unknown enveloping them, sharp and electrifying. Once outside, an unsettling stillness consumed the yard. The only sound was the ragged breaths of the three of them, an echoing reminder of their shared peril. Leah glanced around, scanning the horizon for even a hint of movement. The lights from the nearby homes looked like distant stars, flickering with mock indifference to their plight. "Where do we go?" the woman whispered, fear breaking her voice. "Anywhere but here," Leah said, trying to keep her tone strong. "The shed, it's overgrown. Maybe we can hide there." As they hurried towards it, a shadow loomed behind them, tall and creeping like a thick fog. Leah felt her heart drop into her stomach. The air shifted, sharpening into a prickly tension, and she turned, desperation clawing at her throat. For just a moment, their eyes met, a shared understanding that this was far from over. The boy shivered in the woman's embrace, both terrified and trusting, while Leah felt the weight of responsibility bearing down on her like a suffocating blanket. Then, without warning, the flickering lights from their home went out completely, plunging them into darkness that was deeper than the night itself. And in the stillness, a voice thrummed through the air, cold and calculating. "You think you can run from us?" Leah's breath hitched. The hunt had begun. Desperate, she turned back toward the darkness, urging her companions to keep moving. But what lay ahead? Was there safety in the shadows, or had she inadvertently led them into a deeper nightmare? She quickened her pace, but the dread echoed louder, striking at her heels. Just then, Leah spotted something in the distance, a flicker of light shimmering through the trees. But was it the hope of refuge, or a trap laid for them to find? Panic surged within her, clawing for control, as they pressed onward into the unknown. The real question lingered at the edges of her mind: what had all of this begun with, and how had she unwittingly opened the door to such nightmarish darkness? Leah's heart raced as she clutched the woman's arm, pulling her forward. The flickering light pulsed ahead, a beacon amid the encroaching darkness. But as they moved, a chilling wind swept past them, whispering their fears into the night. "Keep your head down," Leah urged, leading them closer to the light. The boy whimpered, his grip tightening around the woman's shoulder, his breath quickening with every rustle of leaves. "Do you see it?" the woman hissed, darting a glance over her shoulder. "I do," Leah replied, forcing herself to remain calm. "Just a little further." The shadows danced behind them, snaking through the trees like tendrils of smoke. As they approached, the light resolved into a small wooden shed, its door slightly ajar. Hope glittered in Leah's chest, but it twisted with dread. Would this old shelter protect them or become another trap? "Get inside," Leah commanded, her voice low but darting with authority. She peeked back, the shadow lingering close, too close. The woman quickly slipped through the door, still cradling the boy, who was trembling like a leaf in a storm. Leah followed, glancing back one last time before the darkness swallowed them whole. Inside, the shed was cramped and dusty. Old tools hung from the walls, rusted but sturdy. The faint glow from a small lantern in the corner illuminated their fearful faces, drawing sharp contrasts that made their eyes shine with desperation. "Is there anyone else here?" the woman asked, scanning the shadowy corners. "No," Leah said, trying to catch her breath. "It's just us." The boy clung to his mother, his eyes darting around. "It's too quiet," he whispered, a tremor in his voice. Leah felt a surge of protectiveness. "We'll be okay," she lied, hoping to sound convincing. "Just keep still for now." But the whispers outside had grown louder, an unsettling cacophony swirling around them like a dark hymn. Leah pressed her ear against the door, willing her heartbeat to steady. The shadows were searching for them, she felt it deep in her bones. Suddenly, she noticed something glinting on a nearby shelf. Curiosity nudged her closer. It was a small dagger, its blade shimmering even in the low light. She reached for it, feeling the cool metal under her touch. "Leah, what are you doing?" The woman shivered, her gaze trapped between fear and uncertainty. "Just getting ready," Leah said, looking back at her with determination. "If they find us, we need to be ready." But just as Leah turned, a deafening bang echoed against the shed walls. The front door had been kicked open. The shadows surged like a tidal wave, flooding the space with a malevolent energy. "Hide!" Leah shouted, her heart pounding. She found a small closet in the corner and ushered the woman and boy into it, squeezing in beside them. Their breaths mingled, a frantic hymn of fear. Leah gulped, her heart hammering wildly as the darkness spilled into the shed. "What do you want?" she shouted, trying to muster courage against the oncoming storm. From the shadows emerged a figure, wrapped in blackness, the familiar glow of the boy's mark flickering faintly. "You let us in, Leah," it whispered, voice like ice. "And now you'll have to face the truth of your actions." Leah's grip tightened on the dagger, reality crashing over her like a tidal wave. There was so much she didn't understand. "What truth?" "Your fears, they've awakened us." The shadow leaned closer, an agonizing chill rolling off of it. "And they want to let you go." Every hair on Leah's body stood on end. She could feel the darkness pressing in, smothering every glimmer of hope. What kind of reckoning awaited them? Would she be able to shield the boy and his mother, or were they all doomed to succumb to the very nightmares she had tried so desperately to escape? As the figure reached out, darkness enveloped the room, pushing in from all sides. Leah felt the walls close in, her breath tightening. The door creaked under pressure, and then, it opened wide, flooding the shed with blinding light. What's happening?" the woman gasped, squinting against the sudden blaze. Leah's heart raced. Was this an escape or another trap? Before she could react, a voice boomed from the light. "Step forward if you dare, Leah. Your choice will seal your fate." And like that, Leah stood on the precipice of a decision that could change everything. Would she protect the ones she loved, or plunge deeper into darkness? The choice hung before her, tangible and terrifying. What awaited her on the other side? Leah's heart thundered in her chest, each beat echoing the weight of the voice that filled the shed. The light was blinding, but it teased clarity amidst chaos, beckoning her forward. "Think fast, Leah," the woman whispered urgently, gripping her arm. "We can't stay here. Those shadows want to let us go." But Leah felt frozen, a battle raging in her mind. What if stepping into that light was a way to escape the horrors lurking behind? Or was it a deeper plunge into the unknown? Every instinct screamed for her to protect the boy and his mother. "Leah." The boy's frightened voice wobbled through the air, cutting through the tension. "Don't leave us." With her heart racing, Leah snatched the dagger tighter in her hand, glancing at the woman. "What should we do?" The woman's eyes were wide, glimmering with an indecipherable emotion. "If you trust the light, you have to trust yourself too. You can't fight the dark forever." Taking a deep breath, Leah turned to the light again. It felt warm, inviting even, like the first rays of dawn after a long, cold night. Swallowing her fear, she stepped through the doorway, the others clinging close behind. As soon as Leah crossed into the light, the surroundings twisted and swirled. The shed dissolved behind her, replaced with a vast landscape drenched in luminescence. It was a realm beyond anything she and the others had ever seen, blooming flowers painted in colors no words could describe, shimmering fields undulating like waves in a gentle breeze. "Where are we?" the boy murmured, awe mingling with confusion. "Somewhere different," Leah whispered, scanning the alien beauty. But a different kind of dread crept up her spine, a feeling that not all was as serene as it appeared. Without warning, the vibrant hues began to dim, shadows creeping along the edges of their paradise. Leah felt the air shift, a coldness invading the once warm landscape. Whispers returned, more insistent now, rising like a tide. They had followed her, brought to life by her very essence, every fear laid bare. "Leah!" the woman cried, stepping forward. "Look!" In the distance, figures approached, their outlines indistinct but moving with a deliberate purpose. They glided closer, phantoms of her anguish emerging from the depths of her soul. Leah's grip tightened around the dagger as the faces of her past materialized, lost friends, failures, haunting memories, a parade of her deepest regrets. "What do you want?" Leah shouted, her voice steadying against the wave of emotion cascading over her. The figures united, forming a phantom chorus. "You awakened us, Leah. You must confront what you've run from." "No. I don't want to." She stumbled back, the light flaring again with the intensity of her rejection. The ground quivered beneath her, reflecting the turmoil inside. Suddenly, the boy stepped forward, brave despite his small stature. "You have to face them, Leah. It's the only way we can be safe, right?" His voice was small but held an undeniable strength, tethering Leah amidst her fear. With her heart racing, Leah faced the shadows once more. "What do you want from me?" The spirits gestured toward the dagger in her hand. "Take the step, Leah. You hold the power to reshape your reality, to banish the darkness. Will you fight?" Leah's resolve hardened. She felt an ember of strength reigniting within her. "Yes. I refuse to let you take control of my life." As she lifted the dagger high, the figures recoiled. The light surged brighter, wrapping around them like a protective shield. In this moment, rose the blade of truth. They screeched, voices blending into a screeching cacophony. "Be wary of what you unleash." The ground trembled beneath them as shadows swirled violently, threatening to envelop everything. Leah's fear intertwined with a desperate hope. Would the power she wielded be enough to confront what haunted her? With one sweeping motion, she lunged forward, determined to break free from the suffocating grasp of her past. Yet, in that moment, the shadows roared back, echoing with a chilling finality. What had been a moment of bravery might as easily turn into that of devastating regret. As Leah's heartbeat reached a crescendo, darkness hung around her like a noose. Would she discover the truth that lay beyond her fears, or would the shadows drag her back into despair? Leah's eyes locked onto the dagger, shimmering with newfound purpose. The air pulsed with a malignant energy as the shadows swirled around her, snarling like a beast deprived of its prey. "Do it!" the woman shouted, her voice slicing through the tension. "End this." With a sharp inhale, Leah mustered every ounce of courage she had. She thrust the dagger forward, piercing the chaos that surrounded them. The moment the blade met the darkness, a blinding flash erupted, illuminating the nightmarish scene. The shadows howled in rage, recoiling as if struck by fire. But it wasn't a simple retreat, it felt like something more profound, as if she had awakened some profound truth within herself. "Keep going," the boy urged, his small voice barely cutting through the din. "You have to claim your light." Leah's heart raced. She remembered the warmth of the light that had beckoned her here. Her memories, dimmed by the rising tide of despair, exploded into clarity. Friends she had abandoned, dreams she had dismissed, each regret unfurled like a forgotten flower, demanding recognition. "Show me," she cried, her voice rising to match the chaos. "Show me the truth." The shadows hesitated as if evaluating her resolve, their menacing forms wavering. Leah pressed on, channeling her pain into raw, unyielding strength. The dagger pulsed in her hand, a conduit of her spirit. Suddenly, images exploded around her. She was a girl again, walking through high school hallways, laughter echoing like a harbinger of joy. But shadows loomed behind, whispering of failures yet to come. She faced the moments of anguish, the days she had felt utterly alone, each one a reminder of her fragile humanity. "No more," she shouted, a mix of defiance and clarity washing over her. "I will not be chained by what I've lost." With a fierce sweep, she swung the dagger, cutting through the veil that separated her from the truth. The light intensified once more, swallowing the shadows in its radiant embrace. And then, she saw him, her brother, lost in that terrible accident. His face shimmered in the light, both a memory and a promise. "You're free, Leah," he said, his voice echoing with warmth. "Let them go. It's time to rise." A wave of energy surged through her, escaping the heavy weight of grief that had lingered. It transformed into something beautiful, a sense of acceptance. Leah took a step toward her brother, tears blurring her vision. But the shadows screeched, rising in rebellion, coiling like serpents around her feet. "You can't escape us," they hissed, voices melding into a cacophony of despair. The woman grabbed Leah's arm. "You must choose. Will you embrace the light, or let the darkness consume you?" Leah felt every heartbeat pulse through her veins, each one reminding her of the choices she had yet to make. "You cannot have me," she declared, raising the dagger high once more. The shimmering blade radiated with a light that could pierce even the thickest shadow. "Feel the fear and still choose. Fight, Leah." The boy shouted, echoing the courage she was now learning to hold. With one last lunge, she thrust the dagger downward, aiming at the heart of the whirlwind of darkness. The trance-like grip of despair broke apart. Light fought back against shadow, illuminating the truth of Leah's heart. Then, a deafening silence fell. The shadows faded, their anguished wails replaced with a haunting stillness. But as Leah caught her breath, a new noise emerged, soft whispers swirling around them, filled with promises and new beginnings. "Your journey is far from over, Leah," they murmured. "The real test awaits." As the light settled around them, Leah felt the exhilarating weight of her choices but also the chilling draft of uncertainty. What lay ahead was unfamiliar, and the shadows still lingered in the periphery of her vision. What awaited her next? Would she emerge stronger, or would the darkness that threatened to engulf her claw its way back? With her resolve still etched in her heart, Leah stood ready for whatever would come next. The silence enveloped Leah like a thick fog, but it wasn't comforting. The whispers that had danced around her were now loud, clamoring for her attention. It felt like they were echoing from the corners of her own mind, taunting her with what lay ahead. "Don't be afraid," the boy's voice cut through the murmur. "You've done it before. You can do it again." Leah nodded, but doubt lurked in her chest, a feral beast ready to pounce. What if the shadows came back? What if she wasn't strong enough to fight again? Just moments ago, she'd felt empowered, but now, the thrill of victory began to fade, replaced by a gnawing fear. Suddenly, the ground trembled slightly beneath her feet. The air crackled with tension as if the world itself was drawing a breath, readying for something monumental. Leah searched her surroundings, the shimmering dagger still clutched in her hand, and soon, she saw the remnants of shadows coiling back into a suffocating darkness. "Do you feel it?" The woman pointed toward the dissipating shadows. "They're gathering strength. You must act now." Heart pounding, Leah took a step forward, determination igniting a fire within her. She wouldn't let them take back her victory. She didn't want to retreat into despair. "What do I have to do?" she called out, her own voice now steady and loud against the encroaching darkness. "Embrace your truth. Your light." The boy urged, his eyes wide with urgency. Leah closed her eyes, focusing. She pictured her brother's face, his warmth, his laughter, the way he always believed in her. The memories flooded her mind again, each radiant moment serving as fuel to her spirit. She felt the power of those memories pulse through her, merging with the light she had awakened. With a shout, she thrust the dagger into the air, unleashing a wave of light that surged forth from her heart. It was a declaration of her commitment, an acceptance of every triumph and failure that molded her. The blade gleamed, and as it did, the whispers amplified, forming a distinct chant. The light reveals," they echoed, stronger than before, surrounding Leah with a vibrating energy. She felt herself being lifted, buoyed by the force of her own awakening, and then, the shadows roared, a cacophony of fury, trying to resist the encroaching light. They lashed out, clawing at her, weaving through the air like angry serpents. Leah stood firm, muscles taut, the dagger steady within her grip. The light began to push back, forcing the darkness to writhe as it receded. "You are not alone, Leah," shouted the woman, her voice piercing through the chaos. "Remember the light within. It's powerful enough to banish all fear." Leah felt that truth resonate deep within her bones. More than just a weapon, the dagger was now a symbol, a piece of her journey, a testament to her resilience. She had fought for the light before, she wasn't about to back down now, with every ounce of energy coursing through her, Leah roared, "I choose the light." And in that moment, the dagger burst forth with a brilliance that devoured the darkness whole, the shadows screaming as they evaporated into nothing. But just as she thought victory was hers, a shadow, larger and darker than the rest, emerged from the remnants. It loomed ominously, almost sentient, its form twisting with an unsettling intelligence. "Foolish girl," it hissed, its voice like ice dripping down her spine. "You think this is the end?" Leah's heart plunged, a wave of dread crashing over her. The battle wasn't over. The real test, the one with dire consequences, had only just begun. What was this entity, and how could she confront the darkness that still threatened her victory? There was no uncertainty now, only a chilling sense that the journey ahead would demand everything she had and more. Drawing a shaky breath, Leah tightened her grip. "I will face you." In that moment, the darkness grinned, as if it knew a terrible secret. As Leah prepared to fight once again, one thought lingered. What hidden terrors awaited her as she delved deeper into the abyss? Leah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the shadow loom over her like a dark cloud ready to unleash a storm. The air thickened, pressing against her chest, and she could feel the relentless beat of her heart as if it was trying to hammer its way out. The whispers faded into an eerie silence, everyone waiting, holding their breath as the final confrontation approached. "What are you?" Leah forced the words out, her voice shaking but determined. The darkness merely laughed, a sound that reverberated through her bones, chilling her to the core. "I am the darkness that feeds on fear, Leah. You may have chased away the lesser shadows, but I am the root of despair, the tremor in your soul." Panic whispered in her mind, but she pushed it aside. She was here because she had chosen light, and she refused to let this creature twist that choice into a weapon against her. "I want to let you win," she shouted, holding the dagger high, its light gleaming like a beacon against the oppressive darkness. "Win? Child, this is not a game," it sneered, shifting closer. "You do not understand the stakes. To battle me is to battle your innermost fears, to unravel the truth that lies deep within you." Leah recoiled slightly, its words striking a chord in her heart. But she thought of her brother again, a reminder of why she was fighting. "If that's what it takes, then bring it on. I want to fear what I need to face," she declared, stepping forward into the gloom. The shadow let out a low growl, its form twisting and writhing as it surrounded Leah. Tendrils of darkness reached for her, caressing her skin in cold, clammy waves. Each touch sent a shiver down her spine, dredging up memories she thought long buried, the guilt of failure, the haunting echo of her brother's laughter silenced too soon, the feeling of being powerless in the face of loss. "Look at you, drowning in your pain," it crooned, its voice strangely soothing, wrapping around her like a familiar blanket. Leah's chest tightened as images flashed in her mind, her brother fading from vibrant warmth to mere shadows, leaving her behind, alone. "No." She gnashed her teeth, shaking her head vigorously, forcing herself to remember the love they shared. "I want to let your lies take hold of me." As if sensing the shift inside her, the shadow roared, darkness spiraling out in angry waves, trying to engulf her. Leah raised the dagger, feeling it vibrate with her rising spirit. "You have no power over me," she cried, and with a fierce thrust, she plunged the dagger down. A blinding light exploded from the blade, cutting through the dark tendrils like they were fragile smoke. Leah felt the force roar through her, igniting every cell in her body until she was no longer just a girl with a dagger. She was a tempest, a force of unwavering light, yet, the shadow howled in rage, reforming itself, looming larger than before. "You think you can defeat me with mere light? Your pain will always be a part of you," it shrieked, and suddenly, memories began flooding Leah's mind, each one raw, each one darker and more twisted than she could bear. It was as if the creature was pulling her down, dragging her into the depths of her own despair, but then, something sparked within her, an ember of hope, a flicker of understanding. The shadow was right, her pain was a part of her. But so was her strength, her courage, her history of fighting through darkness. "No!" Leah shouted, embracing her pain instead of pushing it away, intertwining it with the light she radiated. The warmth surged, wrapping around her like a cocoon, stronger and more beautiful than any darkness could be. Embrace your truth. The boy's voice echoed in her ears, urging her on. Fear is my fuel. Leah screamed, the dagger glowing fiercely, a beacon against it all. The shadow froze for a moment, a flicker of doubt crossing its dark features. What have you done? But Leah knew. She had turned her fear into strength, her scars into weapons. With one final roar, she unleashed a wave of brilliant light, enveloping the shadow entirely. Your reign ends now. She yelled, as the darkness screeched and writhed against the onslaught. Leah watched in awe and horror, holding her breath as the creature began to dissolve, the weight lifting from her chest. But then, just as she believed she was free, a shattering cry echoed through the cracks of the darkness, one that sent chills down her spine. Remember, Leah, the shadow's voice lingered, a sinister whisper threading through the remnants of its fading form. You may conquer me today, but I will return. You will always find me in the darkness you refuse to confront. The shadows expanded again, swirling like a tempest, and Leah was left gasping, unable to shake the sense of dread creeping up her spine. As the echoes of the shadows slackened and the night settled around her, the very ground beneath her feet trembled, and Leah sensed new shades of darkness lurking, waiting for their moment. Could she truly ward off the darkness when it returned? With nothing but the dagger in hand, Leah faced the eerie stillness ahead, the faint whispers lingering like a warning. What lay ahead demanded answers beyond what she could imagine. Leah stood at the edge of the void, her heart racing as the shadows curled like snakes at her feet. The air was laden with a thick silence, and each breath felt like a struggle against the weight of what lay ahead. The dagger still hummed with residual light, but the sense of victory began to fade, replaced by a gnawing uncertainty. What if the darkness had only retreated to gather its strength? What if it had allies? With clenched fists, Leah squared her shoulders and took a cautious step forward. The light of her dagger flickered in response, as if urging her to continue. She could almost hear the whispers of her brother, like echoes in a windless night, spurring her on. But this time, the whispers turned treacherous, mixing with the echoes of the shadow's ominous voice. You think you've won? Just wait. Chills ran down her spine. Leah shook her head, once again banishing the haunting memories that threatened to pull her under. But as she moved deeper into the unsettling calm, something shifted behind her, a shuffling sound that filled the void with menacing intent. Who's there? She called out, trying to sound brave, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. The only response was silence, so heavy it seemed to wrap around her like a shroud. Leah's heart raced with every beat, thundering in her ears. She spun, the dagger held out before her like a shield, ready to confront whatever lurked in the darkness. And then she saw them, shadows emerging, twisted figures forming from the gloom, eyes glowing like embers in the night. Fear clawed at her gut, but she stood firm, wielding her light like a sword. What do you want? She demanded, straining to mask her panic. The shadows hissed, voices rising in a cacophony of confusion and disdain. We are what you have cast aside, one of them snarled, stepping forward, a figure molded from the very darkness she had just fought against. Your fear, your sorrow, we are all parts of you. No, Leah responded, though doubt seeped into her voice like poison. You're not a part of me. You're just shadows, lost and empty. The figures laughed, a haunting sound that sent shivers racing down her spine. Empty? Are we? Look around you, Leah. Can you see how you tread the line between light and dark? We are bound to you, just as you are bound to us. You cannot banish what is inside. A dark hand reached out, brushing against her as the shadows encroached. Leah felt the cold touch slide over her skin, a sickening wave that ignited memories of her deepest regrets. Guilt over her brother, the times she felt helpless, the moments she chose cowardice over courage, they all came flooding back, overwhelming her with an inferno of self-doubt. Face it, Leah. You'll always carry us, and when you fail, we'll be right there, whispering to you in the dark. She staggered back, her grip on the dagger faltering. The light flickered dangerously, casting erratic shadows across the battlefield like fireflies lost in a storm. No, Leah breathed, inhaling sharply as the weight of her own truth bore down on her. I want to let you have control over me. I am more than my fears. With renewed strength, she raised the dagger high one more time, sending vibrant sparks dancing through the air. The shadows halted, their dark forms pulsating as the light washed over them. Your light alone can't save you. A voice shrieked, but Leah felt a warmth swell within her, a realization that she wielded the power to change her story. Maybe not alone, she shouted back, her voice echoing off the walls of the darkness. But I have the love of my brother. I have hope. And I will not be defined by my past. Light erupted once again, scorching through the darkness like a comet through a starless sky, igniting the shadows with newfound intensity. Yet, just as the darkness cried out, a rift opened behind Leah, a pulsing void that seemed to beckon to her. From within, she felt a force trying to pull her in, as if the shadows were calling for reinforcements from an even darker realm, and then, a question thundered in her mind. What if the darkness was more than she imagined? What if it harbored something she couldn't face but needed to confront? The ground trembled, and the shadows surged with renewed vigor, threatening to take her down with their dark tide. As Leah stood there, caught between light and shadow, she realized the battle was far from over. This fight was becoming more complicated, more perilous. Would she be able to uncover the truth hiding in the darkness before it consumed her whole? Leah braced herself, teetering on the precipice, the rift gaping wide before her. Leah felt the ground vibrating beneath her feet, pulsating with an energy that sent ripples of fear coursing through her. The shadows writhed around her, their voices blending into a haunting melody that was impossible to escape. She stood at the edge of the rift, a swirling void beckoning her with promises and threats alike. Was this where she would finally confront the true nature of her fears? The shadows hissed, urging her to step into the unknown, to surrender to the despair that beckoned from below, but in that moment of hesitation, Leah found strength in her memories. The warmth of her brother's laughter filled her heart, his love wrapping around her like a protective shield. She recalled the nights they had spent under the stars, sharing hopes and dreams, their voices mingling with the gentle breeze. She wasn't just a girl alone in the dark, she was a daughter, a sister, a fierce warrior prepared to fight for her light. With determination coursing through her veins, Leah raised the dagger. It glowed brightly, a beacon of hope against the encroaching shadows. I will not be lost to you, she shouted, her voice echoing defiantly through the stillness. You may linger in my mind, but you will not control my fate. The shadows recoiled in response, their laughter turning to anguished wails that pierced through the air. You cannot defy us, they cried, merging together, rising like a dark tide. We are the essence of your pain, your darkest memories. You will always carry us. No. Leah's voice rang out with power, stronger than before. The words spilled from her heart, fueled by the love she held for her brother, for the light that had guided her in the darkest of times. Every scar, every wound, they're just part of my story, not the end of it. Taking a deep breath, she thrust the dagger into the rift. Light erupted from the blade, swallowing the darkness as vibrant streaks of color cascaded out like fireworks, illuminating the abyss. You will not determine my fate, she roared, feeling the energy surging through her as magic ignited from within. The shadows twisted and contorted, howling as they were engulfed by the brilliance. But as they screamed, the rift began to shrink, folding in on itself. The darkness lashed out, grasping at Leah, desperate to cling to her, but she stood steady, the weight of her fears transforming into an unshakable resolve. The world around her erupted in a furious collision of light and shadow, colors swirling like a storm. Leah felt her heart racing, every beat igniting her spirit further. This time, she whispered fiercely to herself, I am in control. Just then, as the shadows writhed one last time, Leah took the final step forward, and with a forceful shout, she plunged the dagger deeper into the heart of the rift. The darkness screamed, a terrible sound that rattled her bones, but she held her ground, refusing to yield. A final explosion of light enveloped her, the overwhelming warmth pushing against her skin like a comforting embrace. Leah closed her eyes, feeling the energy surge through her. For the first time, she sensed a profound truth rising within, a sweet sense of acceptance for all that had shaped her into the woman she was. When the light subsided, Leah opened her eyes to find herself standing alone in a beautiful meadow bathed in the sun's golden glow. The oppressive shadows had vanished, replaced with a serene landscape filled with vibrant wildflowers bending softly in the breeze. She felt an overwhelming weight lift from her chest. What just happened? The boy's voice echoed in her mind, now a comforting memory instead of a burden. It's over, Leah whispered, realizing the battle wasn't an end but a beginning. She had faced her fears and emerged not unscathed but stronger, more vibrant, a warrior for light. It's just the beginning, she said aloud, taking a step forward into the meadow, her heart pounding with possibility. As she walked, she saw her brother's spirit shimmer nearby, his smile shining brightly in the sunlight. He nodded at her, a proud gesture filling Leah with warmth. This wasn't a goodbye but an embrace, a promise that they would always be connected through love. With a deep breath, Leah realized that shadows might return, life would always demand she confront her fears. But now, armed with the light and the love of those who believed in her, she felt ready for whatever lay ahead. The world opened up before her, each step a newfound adventure. Leah felt alive, no longer haunted by her past but empowered by it. The darkness had taught her the strength of her spirit, the power of love, and the joy of embracing every inch of her journey, and as she turned back one last time, her heart full of hope and courage, she whispered into the wind, "I'll be ready." This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories that are coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the adventures rolling. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this conclusion. Let us hear what you think. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.